Hi everyone, sorry about that. My name is Nicole, and today I am going to be guiding you through this 1 hour power yoga flow. This is a little bit more of a fast-paced yoga flow. We're going to be moving through a lot of different poses, but at the same time, we're going to get some nice relaxation and stretching in today. So as far as what you'll need, if you have a yoga mat, that's great. If not, any surface that's going to be gentle on the wrists and the knees will do just fine. If you have a yoga block, that will also be really beneficial. If not, just stack some textbooks, some old books, anything that's just going to elevate the floor a little bit closer to you. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. Coming into a comfortable child's pose at the back of the mat, just taking the knees wide, big toes touch, and allow the torso to soften between the space of the thighs. We extend the arms forward and allow the third eye to rest on the mat. If at any point this becomes uncomfortable for you, you can also bring the knees to touch. It's going to be a little bit more gentle on the hips. So just finding whatever space is right for you. And then begin to connect to the breath. We focus on taking nice long inhales through the nose. Feel the belly expand, the ribs expand. And as you exhale, letting the air go through the nose, feel the belly contract. We want to focus on creating a nice fluidity in the breath. See if you can match the length of your inhale to the length of your exhale as we begin to fire up our Ujjayi breath, our victorious breath, warming the body from the inside out. We'll bring some micro movement into this space by tenting the palms coming up onto the fingertips. The creases of the wrists and the elbows are going to lift off of the mat. Then we want to draw the shoulder blades down and back the spine, pressing the hips back onto the heels. Feeling a nice sensation in the hips, the low back, and under those armpits. Starting to stretch out the vertebrae here. Again, focus on that nice fluid breath. On your next inhalation, go ahead and lift the torso. Walk the fingertips and the body over to the right side of your mat. Coming into a nice intercostal stretch here. Feel that nice sensation along the left side of the body. We want to focus on rolling the left shoulder blade down and again pressing those hips back onto the heels. Creating a nice C curve in the spine. You can stay in this space or maybe walk the fingertips a little bit more towards that right side. Just getting a little bit deeper of a stretch in here today. Again, just tuning into whatever your body is telling you, whatever your body is telling you that it needs in this moment. Each and every day is different, so what you need might be different each and every day. Inhale, lift the torso, pass through center, and take it on over to the left, coming into a right side body stretch. Really connect to the duality of this pose here. In yoga, we link breath to movement, so notice as you inhale, you feel a nice lengthening in the right side body. As you exhale, you should feel a contraction in the left side body that's going to pull you deeper into the space. Nice deep breaths here. Again, stay in this space or maybe walk the fingertips a little bit more towards the left side. Inhale, lift the torso, walk the body back to center. Third eye rests on the mat, child's pose. Just taking a few moments here to set an intention for your practice. An intention can be a thought, a dedication, a mantra, anything that's going to guide you through your practice. In yoga, we move our bodies with intention. So we want to honor the intention we are setting in this present moment as we move through the next 60 minutes of our flow. Slowly lifting the gaze towards the fingertips, shifting onto hands and knees, tabletop pose. Let's go ahead and take a slight little wrist stretch here. We're going to flip the hands back so the fingertips face the knees, the creases of the elbows, and the wrist face out. Noticing a gentle sensation in the wrist and elbow creases. You can stay here, maybe tuck the toes and begin to shift your weight into the heels. That's going to intensify the stretch just a little bit. It's really, really important to stretch out the wrists at the beginning of our practice because it's very easy to hold inflammation in this part of the body. And we want to work into the wrists at the beginning of our practice in order to avoid injury. For a more intense variation, go ahead and flip the hands over. So the tops of the hands are on the mat, but again, the fingertips are facing the knees, palms face up this time. So notice immediately that this is a little bit more intense of a stretch. So you can hold here or maybe start to wiggle the fingertips, maybe bend and straighten it into the arms. Just being really patient and gentle with the body as it starts to open up. We'll let it go, bringing the toes to touch, sitting back, shake it out, let those wrists go. Bring the knees to touch here. If this ever becomes too much, go ahead and untuck the toes. But for a little bit of a stretch along the soles of the feet, we're going to start with tucked toes. Rolling out the neck here just to warm up the central nervous system and the cervical spine. Go ahead and drop chin to chest, feeling a nice stretch along the back of the neck. On your next inhale, roll right ear over right shoulder, getting into the left side of the neck. Exhale, come back through center. Take it on over to the left. Left ear, left shoulder. Rolling through center, take it over to the right. Notice that those toes are starting to feel a little bit more pressure here. Come back through center, over to the left. Go ahead and take a few more at your own pace, whatever speed works best for you. And maybe eventually you allow the head to fall back all the way, completing a full circle with the neck. Coming back to center, nice long spine. Come back into your tabletop, pat out those toes. Just check our alignment in our tabletop here. We want the shoulders stacked over the wrist, hips over the knees. The spine is long, the core is slightly engaged. We're gonna move through some cat-cows, starting with tucked toes. Inhale, allow the belly to drop, lifting the tailbone, lifting the gaze. The chin is lifting away from the neck. Exhale, untuck the toes, press into the floor to round and curl the spine, draw the navel in, cat pose. Untuck the toes, rolling through cow. Puffing up the spine. And then arching the spine, just linking two movements for a gentle flow. Go ahead and take a few more at your own pace. Then we'll turn this movement into our dancing lion, shifting the hips forward and circling them out. Going in both directions, maybe rock the feet from side to side. Dancing lion is a free body movement. There is no right or wrong here. Dancing lion is just a great way to scan the body, to notice any sticky spaces, any soreness or tightness, And maybe you decide to send a little bit extra attention to those spaces as we move through our practice. Finding stillness in tabletop. Go ahead and inhale that right arm high to the sky. Draw the shoulder blades to touch the gaze through the fingertips. And as you exhale, thread your needle, threading that right arm under and through the body so the top of the right shoulder is on the mat. Go ahead and reach that left arm forward like a kickstand for a little bit more stability. Maybe you take a bind, wrapping the left arm around the back, tucking the hand into the right wrist crease. We're focusing on creating a nice twist in the upper middle back with the ultimate goal of getting the skull on the mat. This is an intense belly twist. We're wringing out the internal organs. We're helping to aid digestion. We're helping to detoxify the body. Feel free to shift into those hips as much as you need to achieve a nice belly twist. We'll slowly release by planting the left hand on the mat, pressing into the floor, reach that right arm back up to the sky, countering the twist, and let it go, tabletop. Inhale, sweep the left arm high to the sky, eye gaze through the fingertips. Exhale, thread the needle, threading the left arm under and through. Reaching the right arm forward, maybe taking a bind. We want to focus on shifting the hips slightly forward here so we do feel some pressure on the top of the left shoulder. Nice deep breaths, long inhales through the nose. Long exhales back out the nose. Slowly coming out of this pose, plant the right hand on the mat. Reach the left arm back and up. Counter twist and let it go, tabletop. Coming back into that nice alignment here. You want to spread the fingertips nice and wide. We're also going to tuck those back toes. Start to fire up the abdominal muscles, wrapping the ribcage in, engaging our muscles. We're going to keep the toes tucked and see if you can slowly float the knees about 1/2 inch off of the mat so that the shins are parallel with the earth. Floating table. We're starting to fire up the quad muscles, the bigger muscles in the body. You can hold here, or for an added challenge, see if you can shift your weight forward and back, really feeling those quad muscles engage. This is a lot harder than it looks. We're getting into the oblique muscles, the abdominal muscles on our sides. Finding stillness in our floating table, holding for one more breath. And on our exhale, we shift the hips back and up, coming into our downward facing dog. Walking the hands slightly forward, the feet slightly back, creating an upside down V shape with the body. The spine is long, neck hangs heavy. We want to swivel our arms so that the elbow creases face forward. Working our weight into the back body, working the heels towards the ground. Downward facing dog is one of the most fundamental poses in our practice, so we really want to try to get that nice alignment here. Once you feel comfortable in this space, go ahead and walk out your dog, just pedaling the heels, bend and straighten the knees, whatever feels good for you. The hamstrings tend to be really tight at the beginning of our practice, so don't worry if those heels aren't touching. Slowly shifting the gaze towards our fingertips. We're going to tippy toe our feet to meet the hands at the top of the mat. We find a forward fold. Go ahead and place both fists between the feet. We want to have a hips width distance. On your inhale, we lift onto fingertips, look out and lengthen, maybe slide the fingertips up the shin. We have a nice flat back here. And then we exhale, forward fold. Let's do that 2 more times. Inhale, look out and lengthen with a flat spine. Exhale, forward fold. Last one. Inhale, look out and lengthen. Exhale, forward fold. Rolling up to standing, 1 vertebra at a time. We roll our shoulder blades up, back, and down at the top of the mat. Holding here for just a moment, grounding the feet into the earth. Inhale, sweep the arms overhead. Coming into a side bend. Go ahead and grab the left wrist with that right hand. As we inhale, we lengthen through the sides of the body. And as we exhale, we shift the torso over to the right. We're creating a nice stretch along the left side intercostal muscles, and we want to create a nice C curve in the spine. So in order to do so, we lean the body towards the right, but we shift our hips towards the left. Nice deep breaths here. We're focusing on rolling the chest open. The core muscles are fired up here. Inhale, come back to center. Switch the grip. Inhale, we lift and lengthen through the sides of the body. Exhale, lean over to the left, shifting those hips towards the right. Again, see if you can roll the right shoulder open. Engage those core muscles. Inhale back to center, release the grip, lift the gaze. We're going to take a gentle back bend here, so we really want to focus on engaging the core first to protect that spine. Take a nice big inhale. Begin to shift your hips forward, just your hips, nothing in the back yet. Then slowly we exhale, we lean the upper body back. Again, really engaging the core muscles here. Just a gentle back bend at the beginning of our practice. Inhale, come back to center, and we swan dive, forward fold. Taking just 2 deep breaths here. Long inhale through the nose, long exhale out the nose. Maybe bend into the knees just a little bit, releasing the low back after that back bend. On your next inhale, step the right foot back, coming into a lunge pose. We're gonna drop the knee and peel the upper body back. Hands are by the hips. Inhale, our arms overhead. Drop knee lunge. Lengthen through the sides of the body and slowly begin to shift the hips forward. We're gonna feel a nice sensation along the front of the left hip, as well as the front of the right hip. Exhale, release the left hand towards the mat and reach over to the left with that right arm. Again, getting into the intercostal muscles on the right side body. If this is a little bit too much for you, go ahead and place your hand on a block. This is going to make this side bend a little bit more accessible. Inhale, come back to center. We want to counter the twist by reaching over to the left, planting the right hand on the mat or on a block. Getting into the opposite side body here, maintaining squared hips. Inhale, back to center, and swan dive the hands to frame the left foot. Tuck the back toes, lift the knees, lunge pose. We're gonna bend the back knee and step back into your forward fold, maintaining that hips width distance. Planting the hands on the mat, take a nice big inhale, and exhale, step the left foot back, lunge pose. Go ahead and drop the knee, untuck the toes, and just walk the fingertips back until the upper body lifts off of the thigh. Inhale the arms overhead, nice lengthening through the sides of the body, shifting those hips forward. Nice deep breaths here. We want to make sure that that knee never surpasses the ankle, so just be aware of that as you are practicing in any lunge pose throughout our practice. Moving into those side bends, release the right hand to the floor or a block, and reach the right arm up and over. Inhale, come back to center, counter pose, reaching their left arm down, reaching the right arm over. Inhale, come back to center, hands frame the foot. We're gonna tuck the back toes, straighten into that leg, bend the knee, and step the left foot up. Forward fold. You can go ahead and bring the feet to touch here. Releasing the crown of the head towards the mat. Bending into the knees as much as you need just to release the low back here. We're gonna plant the hands on the mat. We're gonna step our right foot back and then our left foot back, coming into our plank pose. We're holding here for a little bit, so go ahead and drop the knees if that serves you. But plank pose is a full body integration pose. We are working the muscles from head to toe. So really feel the rib cage wrap in here. We're hugging muscle to bone. We want to lift those hips just so slightly and engage the legs. We're high on the ball of the back toes. Holding here, getting a little bit of core cultivation early on in our practice. And then we're all gonna drop onto the knees. Moving through a modified vinyasa, we are going to shift our weight forward so the elbows are forward of the wrists. As we exhale, we lower the torso down halfway and hold. Notice that the elbows are hugging in close to the body. The tops of the shoulders are facing forward, not down. As we inhale, we peel the upper body through, coming into our cobra pose or upward facing dog. Just the difference here is upward facing dog, we lift the thighs off of the mat. We focus on pulling the front body back, shining the heart, spreading through the clavicles, lift the gaze. Exhale, roll over the toes, lift the hips back and up, downward facing dog. So that was just a slightly modified version of our vinyasa flow. We're going to be doing a lot of vinyasas throughout our practice. So learn what works best for you. Customize your vinyasa to your practice, to your body, and to your needs on this particular day. In our downward facing dog, just working our weight into the back body. We're protecting the wrists, the elbows, and the shoulders when we do this. Go ahead and bring the toes to touch, and inhale, sweep the right leg high to the sky, coming into your three-legged dog. We're keeping an open hip here, so we want to focus on rotating the right hip on top of the left. From here, go ahead and bend and straighten into the legs. Maybe make big circles with the leg, maybe bend the knees, make smaller circles. Just exploring that right side hip, whatever feels good for you. On our next inhale, we elevate the pose by coming onto the toes on that left side foot. Shift the weight forward. Shoulders come forward of the wrist, bend the knee, and step the right foot between the hands, coming into lunge pose. Nice, strong legs here. Just take a breath in this space to get some stability. Once we have our power in the legs, we press down to lift up, rising into our high crescent lunge, reaching the arms overhead. We just did this with a dropped knee, so we should feel comfortable pulling the front body back. There's a slight tuck in the tailbone here, so it's okay if that back knee bends just a little bit. Feeling a nice rooting action in the lower body and a rising action in the upper body. Final breath here. Go ahead and cartwheel the arms down, planting the left hand on the mat, reaching that right arm up. Coming into our lunge twist, maybe place a block underneath that left hand so we can keep the hips nice and lifted, the legs are engaged, and the shoulder blades are touching. Nice strong stance here. Lunge twist. We're going to counter the pose by bringing that right hand down inside of the left foot and reaching the left arm up. Counter twist. Notice this is a little bit different of a sensation here. We really have to engage those legs for stability. Those legs are really starting to fire up here. Just breathing through it. Release the left hand down and walk the body all the way over to the left, coming into a wide-legged forward fold. So we have a nice wide stance here. The feet are slightly pigeon-toed. Bring the hands to the hips. We rise to standing with a flat back. Go ahead and roll the shoulder blades up, back and down, and draw the hands to touch at the low back, interlacing the fingertips. Inhale. We shine the chest, drawing the knuckles towards the floor. And exhale, we forward fold, allowing the knuckles to fall away from the low back, creating an intense shoulder stretch here. The crown of the head releases to the mat, feeling in sensation in the back of the legs. Let it go. We walk back over to the right, hands frame the foot, lunge pose. Step the right foot back to meet the left, plank pose. So with this vinyasa, we're going to keep lifted. You always have the option to drop the knees. So from plank pose, inhale, shift the weight forward. High plank pose. Exhale, lower down halfway, half plank, chaturanga. Inhale, pull the upper body through, cobra pose or upward facing dog. And exhale, we roll over the toes, press it back, downward facing dog. Maybe walking our dogs just a little bit. We've been working those legs. Inhale, sweep the left leg high to the sky. We're high on the ball of the left toes. Bend and straighten the leg, circle it out, whatever feels good for you, just exploring the left hip. Feeling a nice sensation along the back of the right leg. Inhale, we elevate the pose, shifting our weight forward, bend the left knee, knee to chest, step the left foot between the hands, lunge pose. Again, a nice breath here to really strengthen and root through those legs. Press down to rise up into your high crescent lunge, pulling the front body back. Feel a nice lengthening through the sides of the body, drawing the shoulder blades away from the ears and lifting that gaze. From here, we windmill the arms, planting the right hand inside of the left foot. Reaching that left arm high to the sky, again, incorporating a block if that serves you. I love using a block in any poses that deal with lunges just because it helps prevent me from sinking into my hips, which is something we want to avoid. So we want to keep nice, strong legs, lifting the hips here and feeling a nice twist in the upper body. We counter the pose by lowering the left hand inside of the left foot and peeling that right arm up towards the sky. Really strong legs here. Let it go, walking all the way over to the right, finding our wide-legged fold once again. So we don't want our stance as wide as it was on the other side, so go ahead and shorten your stance just a little bit and turn the feet out. So turning the toes out, the heels are in. We are going to lower the hips towards the earth, coming into our yogi squat. Bringing the hands to heart center, utilize our elbows to open up the knees. If this is too much on the hips, just sit on a block, or maybe just keep lifted, whatever works best for you. We're gonna open up towards the left side. So reach the right fingertips out towards the right, reaching the left hand high to the sky, peeling the left shoulder open. Maybe take a bind, wrapping the left hand behind the back and interlacing with the right fingertips. Again, if at any point this becomes too much on the hips or if it becomes painful, just sit on a block or maybe lift into a full squat and just open up. Release back to center. Taking it over to the other side, extend the left arm out, fingertips touch the earth. Inhale the right arm up. Maybe stay here, maybe take a bind behind the back. Trying to find some comfort in the discomfort. Hip openers are naturally very confrontational and oftentimes uncomfortable for most people. So just be patient here. Coming back to your intention, coming back to your breath. And maybe try to embrace those sensations rather than trying to run away. Let it go, come back to center, plant the hands on the mat, straighten into those legs, and we walk back over to the left to come into our lunge pose. Hands frame the foot, step the left foot back to meet the right, moving through a vinyasa. Maybe you drop the knees, maybe you take a lifted version, whatever works for you. Inhale, shift the weight forward. Exhale, lower down halfway. Inhale, peel the upper body through, upward facing dog or cobra pose. Exhale, downward facing dog. Taking 5 deep breaths here in your downward facing dog, just recollecting the breath, giving yourself a little bit of rest throughout the practice. We bring the feet to touch, and on your inhale, sweep the right leg high to the sky, opening up the hip. Shift your weight forward and step the right foot between the hands, lunge pose. We've been here before. From here, we're gonna go ahead and pivot on the back foot, creating a 45-degree angle with the left foot. We're moving into our warrior one. Again, really rooting through the feet, engaging the legs, and we rise to standing, pulling the upper body back. See if you can get the thigh parallel with the earth. So maybe widen the stance just a little bit. Warrior one. So this pose, we want to try to square off the hips towards the front of the room. This is a little bit of a challenge, but just slowly working there. Nice, strong arms here. Steady gaze through the fingertips. Go ahead and cartwheel open towards the left, finding our warrior two. So just opening up that foot a little bit, 90-degree angle with the blade edge of the foot and a 90-degree angle with the knee. The body is squared over to the left. We have strong arms here, so we're drawing the shoulder blades to touch, drawing the shoulders away from the ears. Nice deep breaths. Holding these poses for just a little bit. Again, it can get uncomfortable, but it is in those uncomfortable spaces that we get the most progress in our practice. So see if you can embrace the burn in that front quad muscle. Nice deep breaths. On your next inhale, straighten the front leg, reach the arms overhead, lengthen through the sides of the body, and exhale, warrior two. Let's go ahead and take two more of our pumping warriors. Inhale, we straighten into the front leg, reaching the arms overhead. Exhale, bending into the knee, warrior two. From here, go ahead and flip the front palm over, reaching with that right hand until you can't reach anymore. We lift the right arm up and over, sliding the left hand down the left leg. We're exalting the pose, coming into our reverse warrior two. Go ahead and take a look at your front knee. Oftentimes we have a tendency to straighten into the knee, come out of it a little bit. That's totally natural, but you want to focus on tracking the front knee forward, maintaining that nice 90-degree angle. I know it's hard. I know that the quads are really burning here. I know mine are. So again, just breathing through it. Creating that nice C curve in the spine, opening up the right side body. We'll find some release, warrior two. Bend the front elbow, placing the right forearm on the right thigh. We reach the left hand high to the sky, coming into our extended side angle. So we focus on pulling the front body back and tucking the tailbone under. So imagine you're stuck between two panes of glass. We don't want the bottom sticking out. We don't want the chest dipping forward. We want to roll the pelvis under, so we really feel a stretch in the groin muscles. This is strengthening the sacrum. This is strengthening the pelvic floor. So just breathe here. If you want to open up just a little bit more, work the right hand onto a block or maybe onto the floor. Again, this is another one of those poses that I love incorporating a block. It just helps keep me a little bit more lifted. Rolling the shoulder back. Go ahead and release the left hand onto the mat. So both the right and left hands are inside of the foot. We're pivoting on the left foot, drop the knee, untuck the toes. Sliding the left knee back just a little bit, walking the right foot out towards the right side. We're moving into our lizard lunge. So you have a few options from here. You can keep lifted, straightening the hands, or from here we work the forearms onto the mat. In terms of the right knee, you can roll onto the outer blade edge of the right foot and allow the knee to splay open. That's going to give you more of an external hip stretch. Or you can keep the right foot planted on the earth and keep the knee hugging into the tricep muscle. So whatever works for you, slowly working into this pose. We're going to be holding here for about 5 breaths. Really giving ourselves time to release into the hips, You have the option to come onto a block. It's going to give you a little bit deeper of a stretch, but it's not going to be too intense. Nice deep breaths here. See if you can really bring your awareness to this present moment. Maybe close the eyes here. As I said earlier, hip stretches and hip openers tend to be very confrontational. Our hips carry a lot of stress and tension and emotion, especially in women. So when we come into an intense hip stretch, we have somewhat of a release. And it can be uncomfortable. So we just want to focus on our breath. We want to focus on the intention that we set at the beginning of our practice. And we just want to be patient with our bodies. Final breaths here. Go ahead and plant the hands on the mat, slowly lifting out of this pose. And we're just gonna walk the right foot in between the hands. So the hands are framing the foot here. We're gonna tuck the back toes, straighten into the legs, lunge pose, and step the right foot back to meet the left, plank pose. Go ahead and move through a vinyasa at your own pace. We'll meet in downward facing dog. You also have the option to drop to child or just press back to a downward facing dog. So taking a slight intermission in our down dog before we move into the other side, you want to take your feet to the width of your mat. So widening the stance just a little bit and maybe shortening it. Walking the hands slightly back, pressing the hips back into the back body. We're going to take a twist here. So taking the right hand, thread it under and through the body and grab the left ankle. Once you've made that connection, see if you can slowly start to twist the body open towards the left. We're focusing on rolling the left shoulder open and rolling the right shoulder down. The crown of the head falls towards the earth, noticing a nice sensation in the back of the legs. So the more you shorten your stance, the more sensation you're gonna feel. So just find whatever that happy medium is for you. It's not too easy, it's not too hard. Release the right hand forward, switching the grip. We thread the left arm under and through the body, grabbing the right ankle, making that connection, and then rolling the torso open to the right side. Again, lifting the right side rib cage, rolling the left rib cage under. Let it go, downward facing dog, just correcting your stance a little bit. Nice deep breath. Bring the feet to touch. Inhale the left leg high to the sky, opening up the hip. Three-legged dog. Inhale, we elevate the pose, shift our weight forward, tucking the left knee to chest until we step the foot between the hands, lunge pose. 45-degree angle with the back foot. We're rising into our warrior one. So really grip the earth with the feet, and we press down to rise up into our warrior one. Again, pulling the front body back, trying to square off those hips towards the front of the room as much as possible. Notice that nice sensation along the front of the right hip. Nice deep breaths. Cartwheel open, warrior two, squaring the body off towards the right side. Nice strong arms, shoulder blades touch. steady stance through the fingertips. Again, breathing through the sensation, the burn in that front thigh. I'm starting to shake a little bit. Maybe you are too, and that's okay. We're getting a nice workout here. And then we're gonna move into our cool down part of the flow. So just hang in there. Pumping our warriors, we straighten the front leg, lift the arms overhead, lengthen through the sides of the body. Exhale, warrior 2. 2 more. Straighten the front leg, lift and lengthen. Exhale, warrior 2. Last one. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Exhale, warrior 2. Go ahead and flip the left palm over, reaching the torso forward until you can't reach anymore. And then lift the left arm up and over, sliding the right hand down the back of the right leg. Exalting the pose, reverse warrior 2. Again, being conscious of that knee. Try to keep tracking the knee forward as much as it may burn. Only a few more breaths in this pose. Let it go, warrior 2. Bending the front arm, release the left forearm onto the left thigh. We're reaching that right arm high to the sky, extended side angle. Again, pulling the front body back, tucking the tailbone under. Again, just picture you're stuck between 2 panes of glass. You can hold here, or for a little bit deeper of a stretch, work the hands onto a block or onto the floor. Again, it is important to keep the hips lifted. We don't want to sink into the groin muscles. We're working on strengthening them. Release the right hand down towards the mat, so both hands are inside of the left foot. Drop the knee, untuck the toes. Moving into our low lizard lunge, we walk the left foot out towards the left side of our mat. Keeping lifted just a moment. Choose whichever variation you chose on the other side. We do want to have some balance in the hips. So maybe you chose the external hip stretch by rolling the knee, or rolling onto the blade edge of the foot and splaying the knee open, or maybe you kept the knee hugging close to the body. So again, just working into whatever variation you took on the other side, and then we slowly work onto the forearms or onto a block. Releasing the hips towards the earth. Again, try to close the eyes. We want to try to avoid fidgeting in these poses. Maybe try to engage the breath that we used at the beginning of our practice, matching our long inhales with our long exhales. Slowly lifting out of this pose, plant the hands on the earth, walking the left foot in between the hands. We tuck the toes, straightening the back leg, step the left foot back, plank pose. Moving through an optional vinyasa, we'll meet in downward facing dog. From your downward facing dog, take the eye gaze to the top of the mat and just walk the feet to meet the hands. And then we're just sitting down, extending the arms forward into our seated staff pose. We inhale the arms overhead, lengthen through the sides of the body, maybe wiggle from side to side so you feel the tailbone on the earth. You might have to scooch some flesh out from under you. Once we have a nice flat spine, we reach forward, coming into our forward fold. The key here is that we're not hunching over, we're not tucking the chin to the chest. We want to keep a nice long spine. So maybe focus on reaching forward rather than down. Slowly walking the fingertips back, stacking the shoulders back over the hips. We're gonna swing open into our straddle pose. So swing that left leg open. We have a nice wide stance here. Opening up the legs. Again, feel the tailbone on the earth. We have a nice flat spine here. Inhale the arms overhead. We're gonna take a side bend here. So we're gonna kind of, if you ever done ballet, we're just gonna swing the right arm under and reach the left arm over. So the right arm grabs that right foot, and we're rolling the armpit open. Taking the gaze under the arm. And just working open into the left side body and gently into the legs. The one thing we want to be aware of is we want to keep the sits bones grounded on the earth. So maybe that means we keep a little bit more lifted. So I just noticed that when I went to grab my feet, that my hip lifted off the mat. So that just means I have to adjust my stance a little bit and keep a little bit more lifted. Inhale, reach the arms overhead. We're gonna switch, threading the left arm under, reaching the right arm over, working towards that right foot. I have my forearm on the ground here, keeping a nice lift as I roll open in that right side body. Again, just making sure that the hips are grounded on the earth. Inhale, rise back to standing, arms overhead. Lift and lengthening through the sides of the body, and then release the hands out in front of you. We're gonna move into our straddle fold. So we wanna flex the feet here. Engaging those legs just to protect the hips. We slowly start to walk the hands forward, coming into our straddle fold. Again, we want to keep a nice flat spine, so if you just stay here, that's totally okay, but we don't want to round over if we don't have to. Keeping the feet flexed, protecting those knees as well. We don't want to roll the feet forward, so just gently moving into this pose, into this stretch. Nice deep breaths. You might be surprised by how flexible your hips are at this part of the practice. We have done a lot of hip openers, so you should notice a little bit of progress in those hips. Gently walking the hands back, moving out of this pose. I know you're probably thinking, thank goodness. And we're just gonna swing that left leg forward, coming back into that seated staff pose. Reach the arms forward, palm face up. And then we're gonna slowly lower the torso all the way onto the mat, moving as slowly as possible here. Just finding a little bit of core cultivation at the end of our practice. And then we slowly release corpse pose. Just finding what's comfortable here. And then we'll inhale the knees into the chest. Give yourself a big hug. Exhale, release the left leg forward, keeping the right knee into the chest. Moving into a belly twist. We're gonna swing the right knee up and over to the left, extending the right arm and the gaze out towards the right. We wanna focus on stacking the hips here. So that means we have to pull the hips back towards the right as we twist to the left. Just slowly starting to calm down the body here. Slow down your breath. Slow down your thoughts. Inhale, come back to center, hugging both knees into the chest. Exhale, release the right leg towards the front of the mat. Belly twist over to the right. So we're taking the left knee over to the right, the left arm and the gaze out towards the left. Breathing into this final belly twist. Nice deep breaths. Oxygenating the muscles. Come back to center, hugging the knees into the chest. Maybe rock from side to side, massaging the low lumbar. And then we let it go, extending the legs forward, moving into our final Shavasana. So just allowing the feet to splay open, the palms face up by our sides, and we really start to relax the body. Closing the eyes, softening the muscles in the face, softening the jaw. Connect back to the breath. Nice, slow, steady breaths. Oftentimes we have a very busy schedule. We get caught up in our life, in our to-do list. And so we forget to give ourselves some time to fully relax and to disconnect from our day. So just giving yourself these next few moments to do that, to find a full relaxation. Gently brings the movement back into the body, wiggling the fingers, wiggling the toes. Maybe reach the arms overhead, give yourself a good morning stretch. And then we roll on to the right side, coming into a fetal position, tucking the knees, using that bicep as a pillow. Gently planting the left hand into the mat, lifting the body, rising into a seated position. Placing the hands on the knees. Hands are down for more grounding energy. Palms face up for more receiving energy. So oftentimes we find whatever we instinctively just did is whatever we needed today on the mat. Inhale, hands to heart center, tucking the chin to the chest. I'd like to close practice by thanking each and every one of you for showing up on your mat, for making a healthy and positive choice for your day. And more importantly, take some time to thank yourself. You are healthier now than you were an hour ago. And from my heart to yours, namaste.